So hello everyone. I'm very happy that I got to listen in to some of the presentations today, which were very interesting. So thank you all very much, and thank you, Chris and Natasha, for including Global Office as well today in this exciting Scan4Safety and UDI forum. So you've heard about all the details of the standards implementation from the many presenters today. So I will just talk about some work at the global level we do at the moment with many of our GS1 colleagues. And Chris knows I usually talk more or longer than I should. So I'm just putting my timer on at the moment.
You're good. You're good. We're ahead of schedule, so we're all
Yes,
good.
I know. And I know I've also noticed that there have been many questions in the chat as well. So if you have any, or Chris, if you want me to refer back to one of the previously asked questions about the standards UDI, please let me know as well, or we can improvise depending on the topic that you're interested in. I must say now that I can move, I saw the note to move the slides, but let me now see how I can actually do that. Yeah, okay, just by clicking. Yeah, so as Chris mentioned, I work for GS1 Global Office. We have an office in Brussels and in the US in Princeton. I work from the Netherlands, previously worked for GS1 Netherlands as well. And I am currently engaged in some of the topics that you see on the slide here today and doing a lot of the operational work as well, including also some standards developments work. So specifically, Chris asked me to talk about the one product, one barcode initiative that you see here on the slide, but I will briefly highlight a few of the other ones as well. So this slide is from our GS1 healthcare strategy. You can find it online on our website. And really together with our GS1 member organizations and all of the stakeholders, the manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, healthcare providers, of course, solution providers, we developed this strategy. Where in the past, the focus might have been a bit more on supply chain efficiency, more and more the patient's voice and the healthcare provider implementation has become more important. An important theme at this moment is also the digital transformation, of course, having more and more care online and ensuring that the healthcare provider and the patient has actually access to information online about the own treatment or information about the products. Interesting for many of you is probably also the primary packaging identification work stream, where the focus is on ensuring that the primary package has a identifier, a GTIN as well, in a barcode to support, for example, bedside scanning or verification of the product before administration to the patient. Another interesting work stream is on emerging technologies. So what we do, and I saw artificial intelligence mentioned in the chat as well before, is we keep track of products, technologies, for example, and how they could potentially impact the work that we do and the standards that we develop. Because it's not just, of course, about standards developments, but also about maintenance to ensure they remain relevant in this fast changing world. We're currently having a work group for personalized medicines, for example, CAR-T treatments. How are they currently identified? What are the standards available? And where could the GS1 standards support to ensure proper identification and registration for the right patient? Another important one in the patient demographics was mentioned also is the work with solution partners. Clinical solution partners and also supply chain partners to ensure that their software and hardware can actually read, interpret, and correctly use and register the GS1 identification keys. Work with international stakeholders, other IT standards development, healthcare, IHF, for example, intergovernmental organizations, but also work with regulators, very important for UDI, to ensure that we educate together with the industry regulators, but also educate all of the manufacturers and healthcare providers about the different responsibilities when it comes to UDI for products and the registration of the UDI. Another important topic, and I was very happy to read also or listen. I'm sorry, English is not my first language, and I've just been on a holiday, so it's a little bit rusty. But very happy to listen also to the presentation from Steve from Sage Tech Medical. We realized that the standards are used, of course, for more efficiency in the supply chain, increased patient safety, but there's also an opportunity to create a more sustainable supply chain, especially also in the circularity part, whether it's refurbishment, reuse, reallocation, etc. of products. There's a potential of the GS1 standards to be used. Yeah, there's a bit more slides than I'm going to talk to, but you can take a look at that if you want after today, of course. So there was a lot of mentioning, of course, when we talk about the GS1 standards, what are we talking about? Often it's the GS1 data matrix. Could also be a linear barcode, but I wanted to talk about the data matrix at the moment because we see a trend where it's increasingly being the GS1 data matrix that is on products, especially also on when it's a primary package, because the data matrix can be printed much smaller than a linear barcode. Supply chain challenges, regulatory push, asks from healthcare providers as well have ensured that we often have this barcode on the package with a GTIN, a large batch number, an expiry date, or a serial number to ensure you have a unique number for that specific product. What we also see in healthcare is originally the product's identification number captured in the data matrix in the barcode is used for the identification, the verification, the traceability of a product. But there's opportunity for more. You could use that same identifier to provide access to healthcare providers or patients to videos, for example, about a product, to instructions for use, information about the packaging material, and also, of course, more and more sustainability related information, whether it's for the patient, although maybe not as much widespread as it would be for jeans maybe that I would buy. So there's an opportunity, and there's a lot of work going on a global level to ensure that that same data matrix that you have on the product label now can be used for these multiple purposes. Because we see a risk here of actually having multiple barcodes on a package for the different purposes, which, and I probably don't have to tell all of you, could cause a lot of confusion, because if you see a package and you're under high pressure and you need to scan a barcode and you have 5 different barcodes and you're not sure which barcode is the one for UDI, for the identification of or the verification of a product, it's very difficult. The barcode might not be scanned, different workarounds might be created. So we want to ensure that that same barcode can be used for those multiple purposes. But that's not easy, because at the moment, when you scan with your smartphone camera a GS1 data matrix, like you would do with a QR code that's often used for marketing purposes, you not yet get the same results. A link to an online information is not in the barcode, but there needs to be a system in place, an environment to ensure linking to that online information. So we are working together with industry, many manufacturers, healthcare providers that are on a global level in our leadership team. And that was my alarm already, but I think I have a few more minutes on ensuring that infrastructure is in place to link to multiple sources of information. You might have seen the call to action to Apple and Google a while ago, and I'm very happy to say specifically with Google work is progressing, so hopefully more about that soon. Yeah, this is just an image to kind of visualize that, but there's a lot of technical details in the background that go into this. So back to the multiple barcodes, what we don't want is many different barcodes on the product package. So we're currently also researching what are different reasons that there are multiple barcodes on a package. How is that currently being handled by healthcare providers, and what do we need to do to ensure that not just healthcare providers actually, but also wholesalers or distributors, the manufacturer itself is able to scan that barcode, because of course the benefits are not just at the healthcare provider side, although they might be a bit more visible because they it's often being done when a patient is receiving care. All right, so one other topic I wanted to highlight is also what we try to do to ensure that the standards, there's some understanding and visibility around the use of the standards to support a more sustainable healthcare supply chain. And I'm not going to repeat it, but the link is here as well. The case study that was mentioned to reduce the global impacts of anesthetic gases. There's another case study that's more on the medical device side, of course, on the medicine side for reallocation of medicine that almost expire within the central Denmark's hospital. And this is also a very classic example of the current use of standards. Of course, there's an efficiency aspect to it. You might reduce money because you have less waste, but there's also very much a sustainability aspect to it. And we see that with many processes already, that the current set of standards could support you in indeed reducing waste, reallocation, get more information on how products could be refurbished, for example. And we know that many of our healthcare colleagues get a lot of questions from their members as well. Can you explain to us a bit more on how that works? And that's something we are currently working on, but we very much need these case studies to actually show the benefits instead of us talking about it from a theoretical perspective, of course. In the end, just to summarize, Chris, and then I'm done, it's all about having visibility in that product's life cycle, using that product identification in that barcode to scan, to register, and then exchange information between the different actors in a supply chain to ensure that there's less waste, less ordering, for example, reuse of specific products, or allowing the healthcare provider, and I know the NHS with the Greener NHS program is very much working on this, as well, allowing the healthcare provider to know the impact of a specific product they might procure as well. Okay, Chris, I think that's it for me. Shall I check if there's any questions in the chat? And if you do have any questions, you can after the call, let Chris know or send me an email as well.